I'm joined by Leslie Quaino. He's the owner of Fantasy Dome. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you for joining us on Hot Edition.
Thank you for having me.
First of all, we had the news yesterday, but we do understand that the demolition took place on Saturday. Can you tell us what you know? What happened?
Yes, what I do know was on Saturday morning around 10 a.m., I had a call from my security, and before I picked up the phone went off. I called him back several times. He didn't respond. So I rushed to the site to see what was going on. When I got there, I realized that my facility had been surrounded by close to 30 or so men with machine guns who identified themselves as national security. And I asked to speak to the leader. As I went in to speak to him, I noticed that there were 4 excavators on my location, completely crushing my air conditioners, the walls, all my production equipment, everything in its side. It was just crashing on its way to completely demolishing and destroying the facility. I went to him and I said, "Sir, I have an injunction. I filed for an injunction and I have the papers in my hand. You're not supposed to be doing this." And he said to me, "Well, sorry, sir, I'm from National Security. I'm here to protect the workers of the trade fair, to do the demolition. That's a matter between you and the trade fair." And I said to him, "This is a court document showing that the demolition should not happen until we appear in court because we have to respond to it." Unfortunately, that went unheard, so I called the police. And I called the National Police, who showed up within 10, 15 minutes. And they also questioned them, and they stopped the activity once the National Police showed up in their numbers.
So what you're saying, Mr. Quaino, is that the people who undertook that demolition identified themselves as coming from the national security?
Yes, the demolition was obviously done by 4 excavators and bulldozers, but the people that were surrounding as you heard, it's a security zone. They're surrounded with machine guns. They were from national security, correct?
Earlier in your interview, you indicated that you actually accused directly the CEO of the trade fair company of being behind that. Is that what you really said, and is that what you mean?
Absolutely. The National Security Operative told me that they were instructed to protect them through the CEO of the National Trade Fair Company, which is Agnes Edu. Absolutely.
Have you spoken to him, and has he confirmed that he ordered, as it were, the National Security Operatives to come to your site to demolish your property?
No, I've had no communications. Miss Agnes Edu, it's a lady. I have not communicated with her. We actually haven't had any communication since December, when I wrote her a letter requesting a 60-day extension of my lease so I can take my my facility and relocate it.
You haven't called the trade fair company representative you talk about, and the person hasn't called you either to give any explanations?
Absolutely. At this point, I mean, the damage is done, right? I mean, they've destroyed the Ghana entertainment industry. They've destroyed my facility. They've destroyed my investment. And more importantly, they've acted unlawfully in the law of Ghana. I mean, you do not proceed with a demolition fully knowing that there's a writ, an injunction that has been filed, and you've been served. And we have proof of service. We've done everything. We've gone as far as done substituted service. We've met all the obligations of the court. So for you to go ahead and do that, fully knowing that, is illegal and in contempt of the order or the writ or the injunction.
We'll go to the legal bit of it, but let me get an understanding of the investment, as it were. We had information that you spent about $5 million on it, and there was an estimation from you that it may be worth $25 million now. Is that what it is?
So just to clarify, I am not saying that my $5 million investment has also ballooned into $25 million investment. I think that as a businessman, and as any businessman, if you invest $5 million in any business, whether it's in Ghana, the U.S., Malaysia, or Hong Kong, you have to accrue and recognize your returns on it. And in 5 years, if I'd invested this in the U.S. or anywhere else, I could have quadrupled or quintupled my investment. And that's what I was mentioning in that clip. I wasn't saying that I invested $5 million, which I did, and now it's worth $25 million. I was saying that, right now my investment has gone down the drain. If I'd taken this investment in any country that respects the rule of law and does the right thing, I would have accrued or multiplied my investment possibly by 5. And that is that's what's a matter of hand. And I think the real question that I should be asked is, why would any company in this country demolish anybody's property without a court order? The trade fair should be requested to produce a court order because it's an illegal act. I don't think you can demolish anyone's kiosk on your land whether they are there illegally or not, without a court order. If you believe strongly that you have to do something, you go to court. If everybody did everything they wanted, everybody would want a bulldozer and just keep knocking people's stuff down. That's why we have courts. And that's why we have law and order in this country.
You seem to have answered a bit of that question yourself by saying that in a country of law and order, you think that what has happened is indicative of the fact that Ghana does not respect law and there's no order in this country.
I would not characterize it to that. I'm just speaking specifically to the trade fair. They have acted without a court order. And if they have a court order, I would like them to produce it. We all do know that in Ghana, before you can demolish anyone's property, you have to have a court order. Regardless of whether they are a tenant, whatever they do on your land, you have to get a court order. I just request the trade fair to produce a court order. Even outside of my injunction, which I have, which they've been served with, for them to act so unlawfully, they have to have a court order. And I think Ghana should request that from them. Where is your court order?
Let me ask you, you are saying that you're claiming that you secured a court injunction, so obviously this demolition, per your explanation and your own word, this should be in breach of a court order or the injunction. What's your next line of action?
Obviously, we have to go back to court. The next court date with the substituted service was April 18th. That's what the judge was going to hear both parties and obviously make a judgment or direct us to the next steps. Obviously, that did not happen. So the next steps is to follow the law, right? And file contempt, which is clearly there's contempt of that writ and that injunction. And obviously, we have to put the pieces together because this is a huge blow to the Ghana entertainment industry. I mean, we keep saying we want non-governmental investment. The government should always be an answer to all our problems. And this is a huge area in which we need a lot of help. We don't have entertainment venues. We don't have entertainment equipment. We don't have production equipment. And this is a place that had all of it. Why would we destroy it? To what sense does it benefit Ghana to destroy the largest indoor facility possibly in Africa, in Ghana, that has full production equipment, that is used for TV shows, that is used for award shows, that's used for concerts, that's used for church services, that's used for sporting events. What gain do we get by destroying it?
What do you when do you intend to file this or take this court action you talk about?
I'm obviously meeting with my lawyers right now, and we'll file it as soon as possible. I mean, because obviously we have to also do a detailed assessment of the destruction. I mean, clearly everything has been destroyed, and based on even your eyewitness story, a lot has been destroyed. And that leads me to the next question. If the trade fair did this act, why do they need national security to secure the location? If they'd actually evicted me and they want me to come and pick up my property, why is national security securing the place? Why would they not alert the media to come and see what has happened?
Mr. Kwenu, you just talked about, aside from the worth of the property, you talked about equipment in there. Are you able to give us an estimated cost or price of what you've lost, even in terms of the equipment that are there that have been destroyed as a result of the demolition?
I had a large equipment storage area in which housed a lot of LED screens. I had a lot of lighting. I had a lot of sound equipment. I had a lot of staging. I had a lot of trussing. I had almost every single production equipment that you can think about. I mean, I will not disclose the value because we are still trying to figure what has been damaged, what hasn't. And at this point, all I can tell you is that it's a significant amount of investment that was made to make the trade fair a truly turnkey solution. I even had chairs and tables, and barricades, and all of this was destroyed. I mean, I don't think it's fair on any level. I mean, why would you destroy chairs, in a storage room? Does that make sense?
It's not fair. Before you go, very briefly, one of the questions that has come up is whether or not really there have been some underlying issues that we don't know. Are you able to tell us whether indeed there have been some underlying issues beyond these legal communications that we've had?
Please ask the question again. You dropped off a little.
Were there any underlying issues beyond the court issues and conversations that you've had?
Not that I'm aware of. I do know that the trade fair wanted access to the property earlier than I would have been able to vacate it. But my facility is a very large facility. It sits on almost 2 acres. I had over 80 bathrooms, or close to a little over 70 bathrooms. I had dressing rooms. I had conference rooms and storage areas. It's not something that you just pick up. It is not a tent that you just fold up and move. It takes some time and coordination to get it done, especially to disassemble and assembling it. So, I mean, maybe on their behalf, they would have probably wanted me to move faster. But unfortunately, it's not possible. You have to find a place to go to. You have to find a place to set up. And that's why we went to court, so that the court can give us the appropriate time to relocate.
We'll have to end it here. Thank you very much, Leslie Queno. He is the owner of Fantasy Dome. Thank you for spending some time explaining your issue to us.